China was hoping to use Iran to bog down the US and its allies. But after President Trump helped Israel attack the country, the CCP is losing face and a lot of leverage. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Looks like US President Donald Trump may have just called China's bluff, and Russia's too for that matter. For all the talk online about World War III, as the walls close in on Iran, the country is looking strangely isolated. 2 weeks ago, yeah, I know, I couldn't believe it was just 2 weeks either, Israel attacked Iran, taking the fight in the Middle East directly to Iran, instead of just battling its proxies throughout the region. This is like finally making it to Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat after fighting your way through all the Sub-Zeros and Liu Kangs. The result? A lot of damage to Iran's air defense systems. And then in came the United States. The US attacked Iran's nuclear facilities. Bunkers buried so deep, only US bunker buster bombs could reach. They came in for a limited time, made a big bang, and people that got a taste immediately regretted it. This strike is just like the McRib. There are conflicting reports on just how much damage was done to these facilities, and it'll take time before anyone knows for sure. But in any case, Iran has taken a serious beating, and even worse, none of its friends came to help. Not even China. Early in the war, there were some viral reports on the internet about China sending 3 mystery transport planes towards Iran, one after the other, that turned off their transponders just before entering Iranian airspace, with influencers claiming it was China sending military aid to Iran. But upon closer inspection, that turned out to just be the internet interneting. The photos from the flight tracking website Flight Radar 24 were misconstrued. Long story short, the planes in question stopped in Turkmenistan to refuel and then continued on their stated destination to Luxembourg. No turned off transponders, no flights into Iranian airspace, no Chinese aid to Iran. Oh, Iran's allies did some pretty big talking. China's UN envoy condemned Israeli strikes on Iran and, quote-unquote, slammed the US over its Iran airstrikes. A lot of this was the same old hypocritical CCP gobbledygook about needing stability, respecting sovereignty, and avoiding aggression. Russia chimed in as well. The Kremlin hosted meetings with Iranian government officials during the war, and Putin said Russia was ready to help the Iranian people following the US airstrikes. Though whatever aid might be offered wasn't made clear, it seems to be a limited window of opportunity, and I wouldn't trust Putin around any windows. But when it came down to it, Iran's friends simply weren't there. World War III failed to materialize. Trump called their bluff. And now, China's finding itself in a bit of a situation. You see, for years, China and its no-limits partner, Russia, have been trying to portray the US as an unreliable ally that wouldn't help its friends abroad in times of need. Unlike China and Russia, who totally jumped in to help Iran at the first sign of trouble. Oh yeah. But China and Russia weren't throwing shade on the US for just the love of the game. They were sending countries around the world a very clear message. The US won't protect you from us, so you'd better play nice or we will crush you. Except Trump is now making China come to the table. Trump knows China is oil-starved, so he demanded China pressure its good friend Iran to not close the Strait of Hormuz and disrupt global oil, which China did, saying that the Persian Gulf and surrounding waters are critical trade routes and must remain stable and open. That was good leverage Iran had against the US, but, well, China wants its oil too. Even worse, while a battered Iran might be bad news for China's investments in the country, it's also bad news in terms of China's grand plan for Taiwan. If the US exhausts its energy and resources in endless wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, they wouldn't be able to come to the aid of Taiwan during a Chinese invasion. Especially if China can somehow sow internal division in the US, though I don't know how they'd manage to do that. It's a solid strategy, but things are not going the way China wants. Instead of America being bogged down in Eastern Europe, Ukraine has become a quagmire for Russia, making it difficult for the country to help Iran or maybe even China in a war. On top of that, there's a very real possibility that Europe will take on more of the burden regarding arming Ukraine going forward, so the US can allocate more of its own resources towards the Pacific. Iran, as a major regional disruptor and funder of global terrorism, seems pretty kaput after a few bunker busters. Meanwhile, China's economy has been struggling for years now, and the recent trade war with the US hurt even more. So the CCP couldn't afford to get involved in the Iran war, even if it wanted to. And if it did get involved, that would put Iranian oil and Belt and Road infrastructure that the CCP needs at serious risk. As things now stand, President Trump managed to inflict potentially devastating damage on a key Chinese partner without getting bogged down, showing off American military prowess and its commitment to its global allies. It's like he heard China say he couldn't, and he said, "Hold my Diet Coke." So suddenly a united front between Russia, China, Iran, and I'll even throw in North Korea there, is looking a lot more shaky. They must be thinking that the others won't come to bat for them. And maybe even that Kim guy is a little too friendly with President Trump. What I'm saying is the CCP is alone. The US is closing in on them. A Taiwan invasion isn't going to be a cakewalk, and American Juche is the future. What do you think? Leave your comments below. And if you want more exclusive analysis like that, join our premium website at ChinaUncensored.tv. Click this box on screen to go to the website and hear all the things I can't say on YouTube. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.